Hi everyone, welcome December 14th, Forrest Yoga. Please find a way to set yourself up seated and grab a strap if you have it, anything to bring the floor up to you, blocks, bolster, and either seated, cross-legged, or any seated position that works for you. Feel for pressing down through the sit bones and noticing if there's a ground force action that helps you to lengthen through the spine. Closing eyes or setting your gaze to just one thing. And the intent we are working with this morning is space. Just like dropping a pebble into a pond, seeing where that simple single word lands. And how are you breathing when you are holding space in your consciousness? If you have eyes closed, imagining the space that you are existing in, imagining the clothing that you know you have on. If you have eyes open, allowing yourself to take in the light from the space. And feeling how this weaving together of proprioception, awareness of your physical body in space, together with interoception, the ability to track the inner body, the inner landscape, how those two weave together to help us find presence. And so we'll work with some specific directions of the breath to help us explore making space. So first, with the direction of down, if it's useful, you could bring your hands to low belly or place the hands down on the legs somewhere. Like you're pouring water into a bowl, letting yourself sense. What is your breath access to feeling for pelvic floor, low back, low abs, as well as the bony landmarks of the pelvis? Any places you can sense this extraordinary piece of human architecture of the pelvis. Letting the pelvis be heavy to help you land. And then on your next breath, starting with the direction of down, beginning to then sweep the breath to the sacrum and the back bottom ribs, the kidney area. And then letting the organic rate of accessing the back body. What many somatic bodies of wisdom talk about back body as connected to ancestry, invisible supports, our connection to self-love. So you can sort of even tip back a little bit to let yourself feel for being held into where you are supported. And then beginning to sweep the breath, starting with the back bottom ribs and then wrapping the breath to the side ribs. If it's useful, use your hands to give yourself some feedback about what is your breath access into filling into all the sets of ribs in the lateral plane of the body. Notice where you can feel access, where you might see some sticky spots. Sensing, can you coach the breath into the back, to the floating ribs at the bottom? And then the next direction we're going to work with is up. So you can either place your fingertips just around the collarbones or place a hand on the sternum, the other hand on top, and begin to see where you can guide the breath into the uppermost lobes of the lungs. Sensing the core of the torso like a tube, and sometimes I think of stress as like denting a tin can, like denting my aura and denting my ability to fill all of the core. So just letting yourself use any imagery that helps you to sense taking up your full spaciousness, the dignity of your full height. Noticing if there's any weight in your heart that you could honor, and perhaps use your exhale to move out any tension, upregulation, downregulation that's excess. And then the next direction that we'll work with is the front body. So if you like, you could place one hand to heart, one hand to belly, and sense as a result of working with all of these other directions, these 5 directions, down, back, side, side, up, if you can allow yourself to feel for what degree of openness is available into the front body, relating to taking up space with our personalities and feelings and ideas in the world. As a result of strengthening your back, can you soften your heart? And just being in integrity. Sometimes the heart's answer is no, sometimes it's maybe. Making space for all of those yes, no's, and maybes. And then from there, we'll work with our eye exercises. So creating some friction with your hands, continuing to see how you can take up the fullness of your space, particularly feeling the tube, if you will, of the torso, structural muscles. I like to think of how I'm always hugging myself with my muscles and how engaging the torso can help me feel that. Placing the hands over the eyes. We talk about this a little, and I think about it a lot, how eye health and eye healing is super related to brain health. So just knowing by taking the time to rest your eyes, especially these days where there's all of this screen time, is super important. And then from there, let's do circling the clock in the way that we did more freestyle last week as well. So keeping the skull bones stacked right on top of the atlas vertebrae. Look all the way up till you feel a stretch in your eyes, and then begin to pause at each place that you feel guided to with a full breath in, exhaling out. Go at your own pace. I'm circling around to the right. You can go either way. When you're back up, perhaps taking a pause. Switch directions when you're ready. And then also let yourself take in the information from the light, from what is around you. So you're increasing your proprioception, your ability to track, where am I in space? Closing eyes, deep breath in, expanding and lifting ribs. Exhale, soften the jaw, relax the back teeth away from each other. And then we'll do some diagonals. So when you're ready, let's work with upper right to lower left. And just sensing the suboccipital muscles at the base of the skull are part of what moves the eyes. See if you can track what actually is happening as you move your eyes. Allowing your breath to support you. And then switching sides, upper left, lower right. And then from there, pause, close eyes, take a very full breath in all the way to those uppermost ribs. Pause at the top, exhale everything out through the mouth, extending the exhale. And then start circling the nose, freeing up the neck, getting information about what's going on in the skull bones. Switching directions as you are ready. Pause, take a very full breath in. Pause at the top, exhale everything out, extending out through the exhale. And then from there, moving into some shoulder shrugs. So starting with some small movements, shoulders up, shoulders down. Imagining how the shoulder girdle is like a cloak on top of the ribs in some ways. See what you can notice as you're working with the shoulder blades, maybe doing one side at a time. And then we'll come into, as much as you can, keep the front ribs in and down, shoulders up, shoulders straight back. Squeeze the top tips of shoulder blades and then drag down. Stage 2, middle shoulder blades. Inhale. Exhale, squeeze middle shoulder blades. Keep squeezing and then drag down. Stage 3, inhale, shoulders up. Feel for pinning shoulder blade tips together. Maybe using your forearms to help you. Coming through one more round of that, shoulders up, back, squeeze, and drag down. Stage 2, inhale. Squeeze middle shoulder blades and drag down. Stage 3, inhale. And squeeze bottom tips of shoulder blades, dragging down. And then from there, reaching the arms out, start by flexing at the wrists and just notice what shows up in the spaciousness of your joints or lack thereof, just feeling into the bones of the hands, the elbows, and begin to improvise here, sensing how you can use this reach to make space all the way from the sternum, shoulders, elbows, wrists. And then we'll come into some kite hawk here, which we'll revisit in our warrior poses. Inhale, palms up, shoulders down, shoulder blades down, open chest, look up, pausing here, letting yourself feel into some spaciousness, releasing the front of the neck without crunching the back of the neck. And then roll forward, shoulders up, tucking the chin, and then come back and forth between those two places, noticing any variations you want to play with. Sometimes I like to do alternating arms, sensing the way the muscle wraps around the bone. Keep breathing. And then we'll finish up here with a bit of tapping. So just starting with walking around, getting any stuck energy here. And then you could stay there or go into using the whole palm or soft fists, fluttering the lips, anything that feels useful here. And then from there, take a pause and come on down to your back as you're ready. Half Shavasana, feet underneath the knees. Back of the neck stays long. And begin to feel for softening front ribs towards back ribs, letting the back ribs soften into the floor. And then we're going to work into elbow knee with inner legs together. So inner legs together, knees over hips, feet active. Interlace the hands behind the base of skull bones. Shoulders down, elbow tips reach up. Inhale across the back bottom ribs and then squeeze the inner legs together. Reach the knees straight up to the ceiling, and then on exhale, both elbows reach to the right. Straighten through the left leg, either 45 degrees to the ground or straight up if your back is sensitive. Low belly pulls in. Inhale, come back to center. Squeeze inner legs together. Squeeze sit bones towards each other. Reach the knees up. And then on exhale, both elbows reach left, straighten through the right leg. Low belly pulls in, either 45 or straight up. Inhale, come back through center. Squeeze inner legs all the way from pelvis through inner ankles. Reach the knees up. Both elbows reach to the right, straighten through the left leg. Make space in the hip. Move the thigh bone away from the hip. Low belly pulls in. Inhale to center. Squeeze inner legs. Reach the knees up. Exhaling, elbows reach left, straighten through the right leg. Low belly pulls in, make space like you're pedaling a bike there. Inhale through center. Squeeze inner legs together, reach the knees straight up. Exhaling, both elbows reach to the right, straighten through the left leg. Low belly pulls in. Come back to center, head and chest comes down. Take a moment, feet down. Take a feeling breath. Noticing how the core work starts to make space in your breath capacity and heat to help you make space in your core. So we're going to work with tadpole today, which is half straddle, half frog. So first, knees over hips. The right knee can come out into frog. So keeping the knee in line with the hip, the left leg is going to straighten out into straddle. Hands come behind the head. And then from there, inhale, head and chest up. Keeping your asymmetrical legs, curl the pubic bone towards the navel, elbows reach up to the ceiling. Head and chest comes out a little bit. You can keep the head off the ground. Come back through frog. So this point, both knees in line with the hip. Front hip point, ASIS, and knees. Inhale across the back bottom ribs. On exhale, curl the pubic bone towards the navel. Elbows reach up. This time, straighten out through the right leg. Kicking in a way that makes space in the whole chain of fascia, in the whole joint system here. Low belly pulls in, inhale through center. Exhale, curling pubic bone, elbows reach up, straighten out through the left leg. Low belly pulls in. Inhale, come back through center. Feet active. Press the top rim of the sacrum into the floor, curl the pubic bone, elbows reach up, straighten out through the right leg. Low belly pulls in, inhale, bend both knees. Exhale, curl pubic bone, elbows reach up, straighten out through the left leg. Low belly pulls in. We'll do one more round here. Inhale. Exhale, curl pubic bone, unlock the shoulders, make space, elbows reach up strongly. Right leg straightens out, low belly pulls in. Inhale, come back through center. Exhale, curl pubic bone, elbows reach up, straighten out through left leg, low belly pulls in. Head and chest gently come down, help your knees back together. And then take a moment here, either in stillness, sometimes bringing the knees side to side can feel good in that transition. Feel for creating awareness of the moment after a strong action to uptake the energetic nutrition. And then from there, we're going to come into a flowing bridge. So option to use a rolled up blanket if you have one. Feet underneath the knees or slightly forward of the knees. See what feels better in your hips and gives you more space. Outer edges of the feet parallel to the long edge of the mat. Use whatever arm position gives you the most freedom in your breath. Inhale across the back bottom ribs. Exhale, press the ground away. Send the thigh bones forward. And then find your own pace here, coming in and out of this in a way that creates space in your spine, space in your breath. Ground down through the tripod of the foot, so the whole heel, the base of the big toe, the pinky edge of the foot. Light squeeze on your prop. Send the prop forward. When you're ready, stay up in your bridge. And then give yourself time to see how this awakens the stability of the lower body. And how that stability can free up the heart and the upper body because there's an experience of support. Let's come into one round of Uddiyana. So relaxing internally, fill all the way up. Hold the breath and then exhale everything out. Keep the breath out, pull belly back and up, and then lower down out of your bridge. Relax the belly, inhale. And then keep neck relaxed, roll onto one side. Press the ground away. And please come up to your tabletop. So from here, pressing into the inner hand, so you're waking up the bicep, pectoral line, lengthen through the base of the big toes. And then from here, broadening across the back bottom ribs, knit the front ribs towards the back ribs, reach the sit bones towards the calves. And then start with that, like repeating pelvic tilt on hands and knees. Lifting from kidney area. Sensing the movements of your bones, sit bones moving towards calves. And then we'll work with reaching the crown of the head forward. Inhale, expand the ribs. And then on exhale, sit bones move towards heels, ear moves towards shoulder. Either side. Inhale, back through. And then exhale, sit bones move towards heels, ear moves towards shoulder. And then letting this change in any fashion that helps you to feel for making space in your spine. Space in your psyche. Space in any place that you need that. Come back through center and we'll come into that flowing turbo dog. So hands come forward to hands with distance. Deep bend in the elbows till elbows hover and then reach the heart forward. And then from there, straighten the arms, lift up between the shoulder blades. You can either let the head hang or just let the head stay looking at the ground. So either looking at navel or looking at in between the hands. Bend elbows. Pull the elbows towards the knees to make space in the forearms. Look forward, heart reaches forward like cobra, and then straighten the arms. Knit the front ribs towards the back ribs. And then from there, go ahead and come back through neutral. We're gonna come into turbo dog. So option to keep knees down, hands come forward again. This time it's a slight bend of the elbows. The hands stay very rooted. Slight bend of the elbows, squeeze inner elbows, shoulders away from ears. Curl the toes under, keep the knees as bent as you like. Think about bringing that front hip point up and back. Option to keep knees down. And then gently place knees down. Take a feeling breath there. From here, scooch the left leg forward. Go ahead and set up for your lunge. Pad the knee if you need more padding. And just get in here and see what's going on in the right hip flexors. How can you make space in the left hip here as well? Can you get the front hip point and back hip point into alignment? Press the ground away. And then from there, go ahead and come into brain cradling. Interlace hands behind the head. Wrap the elbow tips forward. Lengthen back skull bones away from the spine. Press into both feet. Curl pubic bone towards navel. And then from there, releasing the arms down, interlacing the hands at the sacrum, or using your strap. You could keep the elbows slightly bent if it feels like a good way to work it too, or strap is your friend. This feels way better for me. And then using your breath, see where you can get into that direction of up. Opening the front of the neck without crunching the back of the neck. And then release that, step back into your plank. So you decide knees up or knees down. Let's hold our plank for a few breaths here. Press the ground away. Making any adjustments for what you're working with today. Keep your breath even and spacious. Dialing it back if you lose that. And then lowering down. Press the ground away in the whole transition. Reach back through each leg. Press into the top of the foot. Let's come into some cobra push-ups. So either hands under shoulders or forward. Keep a strong reach through the legs. You can use a prop to the inner legs if it helps you. Get each set of ribs to articulate. Lower down. Do 4, maybe 5 of these at your own pace. Strong reach through the legs. And then lowering down, come into crocodile. And then if you can do it, place both palms and the forearms down, forehead down, and press into the arms a lot. Press into the palms. See what fires in your back or wherever it shows up for you. And then keep breathing. Hands under shoulders, pressing through tabletop, either repeating turbo dog or coming into down dog. So either arms straight or slightly bent elbows hugging in. From there, let's bring right leg forward, come into your lunge, and give yourself time to get some information here. Come in and out of it. Feel into the quads and the hip flexors, tracking front hip point and back hip point. Curl the pubic bone, engage the low abs. And then switch up the interlace, whatever you did on the other side, brain cradling. Elbow tips wrap forward, lift the skull bones off of the top of the spine, press the ground away. Give yourself time to patiently keep opening each set of side ribs. And then from there, come on up, step back into your plank again. Give yourself a few breaths in your plank, whichever variation you're choosing. Lowering down. And we'll come into boat with shoulder shrugs. Reach back through each leg. Roll the inner thighs to the ceiling. Hover the hands next to the shoulders, about 6 inches off of the ground. Back of the neck long. Inhale, broaden upper back. Exhale, squeeze shoulders, shoulder blades, and elbow tips. Inhale, broaden upper back. Exhale, squeeze shoulders, shoulder blades, elbow tips. Inhale, broaden upper back. Exhale, squeeze shoulders, shoulder blades, elbow tips. And then release. Take a moment. You can press into the ground and then let go to see if you get more of a let go. Hands under shoulders, shoulder blades down the back. Press through your table and into either turbo dog or down dog. Sensing how you can move that front hip point up and back as much as possible. And then from here, please come into forward fold. Walk your feet towards your hands towards your feet. Get the outer edges of your feet parallel to the long edge of the mat. And then use your hands to coach the hips back. Front hip points back over ankles. If it's okay for you, let the head hang. If that's too heavy, you can look forward. And then from here, let's sit right back into a chair with feet at hips width distance. So hips back, starting with bringing the torso parallel to the ground. And then drive through the heels to come up to stand. And then from here, we're gonna work on a little bit of balance here. From here, I am not completely on the screen, but that's okay. Stand on that left leg strongly. Keep the knee back. We're gonna work on something called compass. So begin to play with lifting the opposite leg. Keep the hip over the ankle. And then if it's working, you touch the ground. If not, just go toward the ground. Tap and then come up. So now I'm gonna go on a 45-degree angle. I'm gonna keep that front knee back. Front knee is back, hip back. Tap either to my 10 o'clock or near the floor. Come back up. Mine was near the floor. And then same thing, coming to 8 o'clock, knee back, hip back. See if I can go near the floor or to the floor. Come on up. Give yourself a moment. And then we'll take it to the other side. Standing down, get the outer edge of the foot parallel to the long edge of the mat. Activate the foot. Give yourself a moment and then hip back, ankle back, bend the knee, either tapping at your 12 o'clock or near your 12 o'clock, come on up. And then going to your 2 o'clock. Hip back, knee back. Come on up. And then going to your 3 o'clock. Hip back, knee back. Come on up. Give yourself a moment there. And then from there, let's come into a warrior 2 sequence. So step wide. Notice how that compass pose activated perhaps your legs and your sense of your body in space. Step wide. If it works, do ankle over wrist. Feel free to adjust. And then pivot I'll mirror you guys. So right toes pivot out. Pick up the left heel and spin it out. Kick through the posterior chain. Use the glute, use the hamstring, ground the heel point. Feel for the whole heel. And then we're working towards 90 degrees. Zoom is very handy if you're used to no mirrors. You really see what's happening. So it may not be 90. See what feels the best. It challenges you, but keeps you in your window of deep breathing. Get your front hip points back in line with your ankles and then scoop your glutes under, scoop the hamstring insertion. Lift your ribs, reach your arms out. And just play with looking towards each finger. Letting your eyes find a relaxed focus. You can let the fingers zip together and then reach out. And then from here, we're going to come into reverse triangle. Left hand comes down, sweep the arm up, straighten the leg, kick through the base of the big toe, feel for the most possible spaciousness along that right side. Let the hand come wherever it does. Sometimes holding onto the hip can feel really grounding. It feels nice to me. Lengthen your right big toe. And then come on up, let's do our half moon. So grabbing your block, setting your block up on a diagonal from your right big toe, get the outer edge of that foot parallel to the long edge of the mat. So you're internally rotating. Works the muscles a bit differently. This may be your edge, standing on the leg and reaching for the ground. From there, seeing where the left hip is willing to go without straining any joint, especially that right knee. Maybe you're right here. Maybe you reach the arm up. Find the best possible place for your gaze. Kick through the back leg. Kick the ground away with the standing leg. Keep breathing. And then from there, lengthen the thigh bone away from the hip as you lower down. And then from here, let's come right into lizard pose. So come onto the ball of the back foot, left foot. There's a million ways to work this pose. So for this, we're gonna work with square hips. Kick through the posterior chain, hug muscle to bone on that back leg, and then hug the inner right leg to the outer right arm. Lengthen the crown of the head forward. And then from there, gently place the back knee down so you're back in lunge, and then come into lunge, we'll do some bird wing. Stretch your palms open, feel for getting the breath into the uppermost lobes of the lungs. Inhale here. Exhale, forearms come out, elbows hug in, shoulders down, shoulder blades down. And then go through this a few more times, moving organically, like you're flossing your shoulders to make space. When shoulders get freed up, neck responds. And then from there, either come right back through down dog or take yourself through plank and cobra or up dog. Give yourself a few breaths in your down dog. And then from there, left leg is stepping forward into warrior two. Front heel aligning to back arch, picking up that back heel and spinning it out. If you have the mobility, it's also fine to have it parallel. You just don't want to have those toes turned towards the corner of the mat. Bend into the front knee. Kick through the posterior chain, get the hamstring to wake up, and then get the ASIS front hip points back in line with the ankles. So that's a variation of what we do in Tadasana, and then scoop under. Lift ribs. Lengthen the left big toe, reach your arms out in a way that makes space, improvising any movements that help you increase space. And then working with our eyes, notice, is your gaze darting around? Does it feel tense? Does it feel steady? Working on your axial rotation as you're looking side to side. Keep breathing. When you're ready, reverse Trikonasana. Hand comes down on the back leg, kick the ground away to straighten the front leg. Lift the ribs, reaching up and back. Feel for keeping the front ribs in and down, so you're focusing on opening the side body. Wrap the shoulder blades, so you're spinning the pinky finger in. See where you can really get into opening the diaphragm here. Torso comes back up, and we'll set up for a half moon. So outer edge of the foot, parallel to the long edge of the mat. Set up your block. Kicking the ground away. And then again, maybe you're working on reaching for your block. That may be your pose. Maybe you're beginning to stack right hip on top of left. Use that action of scooping with pubic bone, using where we woke up the core, low abs. And then feel for the inner leg's possibility. Can you use the inner leg to kick and make space for yourself? Either holding the hip or looking to reach the arm up. And then just noticing where's the best place for your gaze. From there, lengthening the leg, step back into into lizard. So one block, two blocks, maybe your friend here. Feel the power of that leg. If you had a wall, if you have a wall there, you could kick the wall to wake up your awareness of your leg. And then hug the inner right leg to the outer right arm. Curl pubic bone, lengthen the crown of the head forward. Press the ground away with everything that's making contact with the ground to nurture this theme of spaciousness in the joints. Knee comes down, come into your low lunge. Feel how this low lunge is a bit different than your first low lunge, bird wing. Bring the biceps next to the ribs and then slightly forward. Stretching the thumb away from the pinky finger. Inhale, broaden and lift the ribs, and then tweeze the elbows in as the arms come out, shoulders and shoulder blades down. Looking up, lengthening the front of the neck, so you're releasing the scalenes, which are linked to proprioception and the ability to balance and track ourselves in space, to uptake basic goodness. And then from there, either coming through your vinyasa or coming right into down dog. So plank, knees up or knees down, lowering down. Reach back through each leg, choosing your back bend to traction your spine. And then in your down dog, bring the feet as wide as the mat. We'll work with that reach across that we did last week. So taking the left arm, perhaps reaching for left calf, twisting the heart towards the right. Reaching the elbow towards the floor to mobilize the shoulder blade. Hands come back and then reach for the calf. Reach the elbow towards the floor. And then from there, come back to your down dog. Gently place the knees down, come back to your tabletop. And from here, gently find your way onto your seat. We're gonna work with knee pile and eagle arms, so you may want your strap. So from Dandasana, staff pose, either left leg under, right leg over, stacking the knees or seeing where the knees are willing to go. As you'll see, it's arranged, so my knees are not quite stacking, but they're in that direction. I'm sitting on both hips. Other option is to straighten the bottom leg. Same thing, working towards stacking the knees. From there, let's do left arm up. Spin the right thumb down. And then wrap the left bicep towards the ear. Reach the elbow strongly to the ceiling. Breathe into right shoulder. Move the shoulder and the shoulder blade down the back. And then playing with lengthening up and then also letting yourself round a bit to breathe into the back of the heart. Letting yourself feel into the sit bones, breathing in the spaciousness of earth energy, the groundedness of earth energy into your nervous system. And then as you're ready, coming up, releasing the mind, coming back through Dandasana. And we'll take that to the other side. So right leg is under, left leg is over, going towards stacking knees or straightening the bottom leg. Right arm is up. Taking the hand behind the head or upper back, and then spinning the left thumb down. Giving yourself time. The setting up of these poses is as important of the pose. The transition itself is full of information. Wrap the bicep towards the ear on the right arm. Reach the elbow up. Inhale into the left arm. Contract the shoulder and shoulder blade down. And again, see where you feel guided to lengthen the thoracic spine and then let it round, moving through those two positions. And then gently unwind. Coming back through Dandasana, either with or without a prop. And giving yourself time here, placing the hands next to the hips, or any position that allows you to stack the ribs right over the hips. Reach through the legs and feel how this pose gives you a lot of stimulation in the meridians of the legs here. I have some shaking going from just this. And then sensing here how you're essentially in down dog, right? Arms up. Let yourself come forward and come to the very first place that you land. Flow through that a few times to keep making space in the joints of the hips, the shoulders, the spine. Lifting the ribs. And then from there, pausing, coming into a bit of a straddle, whatever you can do that is not over-efforting. And then we're going to come into a forward fold, so perhaps grabbing a block or several blocks. Letting yourself find a way that you can give weight over and give your nervous system the experience of that, giving weight over. Experience the spaciousness of giving yourself an hour on your Monday. How does your heart respond to that gift? Making space in your heart in this pose. And then from there, coming up, taking all the time you need to set up for your Shavasana. I've been a fan of blocks under my feet, bolster behind my knees, perhaps some weight on your torso. Letting yourself take up space, using this horizontal shape as a way to help you find that expansion parallel to the earth, your home.